Jake Morrison stared at the main screen with tired eyes. 3 days ago, he had been a simple transport captain taking families to their new home. Now he was watching death come for 50,000 people, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The alien ships moved like deadly dancers around the new horizon. Their hulls were made of something that looked like blue crystal, and they caught the light from the nearby star, beautiful and terrible at the same time. Jake had counted 47 enemy vessels, each one bigger than his colony ship. Each one built for war. "Captain, the shields are down to 12%. Lisa Adams called from her station. The chief engineer wiped sweat from her face as she worked at her controls. "The power cores can't take much more of this beating." Jake nodded but said nothing. What could he say? They were a civilian transport ship with basic shields and no weapons. The aliens had been hitting them for hours, testing their defenses, like a cat playing with a mouse. Pete Johnson looked up from the communications desk. His young face was pale with fear. "Sir, I'm still sending the distress signal on all frequencies, but we're so far from Earth. Even if someone hears us, help won't come in time." The ship shook again as another energy blast hit the hull. Emergency. Lights flashed red throughout the bridge. In the distance, Jake could hear children crying, mothers trying to comfort them with lies about how everything would be fine. The main screen flickered and changed. Now it showed the face of the alien commander. The creature had blue skin that seemed to glow from within. 4 arms moved as it spoke, and its voice came through the translator in broken human words. Human ship. "This is High Admiral Zekthara of the Zephyrian Empire. You have entered space that belongs to us. Your kind is a disease that spreads from world to world. We offer you one choice. Surrender now and become our slaves. Refuse, and we will destroy every human in this system." Jake stood up slowly. His uniform was wrinkled and stained, but he tried to stand tall. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the colony ship New Horizon. These are innocent families looking for a new home. We mean no harm to your people." The alien's 4 eyes narrowed. "Your species has no right to exist among the stars. You consume everything you touch. You fight wars over small differences. You poison your own world and then seek new ones to destroy. The galaxy will be cleaner without you." "We're not warriors," Jake said. "We're just people trying to build a better life." "All humans are the same," Zekthara replied. "You pretend to be peaceful, but you carry violence in your hearts. We have watched your kind for many years. We know what you really are." The screen went dark. Jake felt the weight of 50,000 lives pressing down on him. In the cargo bays and passenger sections, families huddled together. Some prayed to whatever gods they believed in. Others held their children close and whispered about Earth, so far away it might as well be in another universe. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "life support is failing in sections 7 through 12. The air recyclers can't handle the damage. We have maybe 6 hours before people start dying from bad air." Jake closed his eyes. 6 hours. In 6 hours, the strongest would still be alive to watch the weakest suffocate. Then the aliens would finish what they had started. "Keep sending the signal, Pete," he said. "Someone might hear us." "Yes, sir," Pete replied, but his voice held no hope. The ship shook again, harder this time. Jake grabbed his chair to keep from falling. Through the metal walls, he could hear the sound of something breaking, more systems failing, more time lost. Lisa's fingers flew over her controls. "The hull breach in Section 15 is getting bigger. I'm sealing off that area, but we're losing more space for people to live in." Jake walked to the big window that looked out into space. The alien ships moved, in perfect formation around them. Their weapons glowed like angry eyes. He had served in the merchant fleet for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The aliens fought like machines, cold and precise. "Why won't they just finish it?" asked Pete. "If they want us dead, why keep playing games?" "Because they want us to suffer first," Jake said. "They want us to know we're going to die. They want us to be afraid." But Jake wasn't afraid anymore. He was angry. These people had done nothing wrong. The children in the lower decks had never hurt anyone. The families sleeping in the passenger areas just wanted to start over on a new world. They didn't deserve this. The alien commander appeared on the screen again. Human captain, your time grows short. My patience ends soon. Surrender now or watch your people die slowly. Jake looked at the creature's 4 eyes. Go to hell. Zekathara's face showed something that might have been surprise. You choose death over service? Even for your young ones? I choose freedom, Jake said. We all do. The alien's expression changed to something like respect. Then you will die with honor, human, but you will still die. The screen went dark again. Jake turned to his crew. Lisa worked at her station, trying to keep the ship alive a little longer. Pete kept sending their desperate message into the emptiness. They were good people doing their jobs even when they knew it was hopeless. Keep fighting, Jake told them. Maybe someone will hear us. Maybe help will come. But deep in his heart, Jake Morrison knew they were alone. The alien ships began to move closer, forming up for the final attack. 6 months before the New Horizon faced death in the Kepler system, Captain Ryan Mitchell stood in the secret shipyard beyond Neptune. Around him, thousands of workers moved like ants across the massive hull of humanity's greatest creation. The UDS Retribution stretched for over a kilometer in every direction. Its dark metal skin gleamed under the construction lights. She's beautiful, isn't she? Asked Lieutenant Amy Foster as she joined Ryan at the observation window. The young woman had graduated top of her class from the Naval Academy. Her mind worked like a computer when it came to battle tactics. Ryan nodded slowly. Beautiful and deadly. The aliens won't expect anything like this. For 2 years, Earth's best scientists and engineers had worked in complete secrecy. The project had no official name. The workers called it Project Thunder. The politicians who funded it called it humanity's insurance policy. Ryan just called it necessary. The ship's weapons were beyond anything humans had built before. Railguns that could fire metal slugs at nearly the speed of light, plasma cannons that burned hotter than the surface of the sun, and the quantum torpedoes, weapons that bent space itself into a weapon. The test results came back from the weapons trials, Amy said, reading from her tablet. The railguns punched through 6 meters of battle steel. The plasma cannons melted an entire asteroid in 40 seconds. And the quantum torpedoes, well, they made a small moon disappear. Ryan smiled grimly. Good. We're going to need every advantage we can get. Chief Weapons Officer Sam Carter walked up to join them. The big man had scars on his hands from 20 years of military service. His gray hair was cut short, and his eyes were hard as stone. Captain, the crew is ready for final systems testing. 2,000 of Earth's finest, all volunteers. Any word from the scout ships? Ryan asked. Sam's face darkened. Nothing good. We've lost contact with 3 colonies in the outer systems. The aliens are moving faster than we expected. They're not just raiding anymore. They're conquering. Ryan had read all the reports. For months, human settlements on the edge of known space had been disappearing. At first, Earth Command thought it was equipment failure or natural disasters. Then the survivors started coming home with stories of crystal ships and blue-skinned warriors who showed no mercy. The aliens called themselves the Zephyrian Empire. They had ruled a large part of the galaxy for thousands of years. To them, humans were nothing more than insects that needed to be stepped on. They had destroyed other young species before. Earth would be just another dead world in their collection. Sir, Amy said, looking at her communication device. We're getting a priority. Message from Earth Command. The 3 officers moved quickly to the command center. The massive room buzzed with activity as technicians ran final checks on the ship's systems. The main screen showed Admiral Kate Brown, head of Earth's United Defense Council. Her face looked tired and worried. Captain Mitchell, I'm sending you new orders. We've received intelligence that the Zephyrians are planning a major offensive. They want to hit our outer colonies hard and fast before we can organize a defense. Ryan straightened. What are your orders, Admiral? Take the Retribution to the frontier systems. Find their main fleet and stop them. This isn't a patrol mission, Captain. This is war. Amy stepped forward. Admiral, The ship isn't fully tested yet. Some systems are still experimental. Admiral Brown's expression was stone cold. We don't have time for more tests, Lieutenant. Every day we wait, more colonies fall, more families die. The retribution is our best hope. Understood, Admiral, Ryan said. We'll be ready to depart in 6 hours. The screen went dark. The command center fell silent as everyone realized what was happening. This wasn't a training exercise anymore. They were going to fight for the survival of human civilization. Sam, Carter cracked his knuckles. About time. I'm tired of hearing about these aliens killing our people. Over the next few hours, the ship came alive. The massive engines powered up for the first time, sending vibrations through the hull. The weapon systems ran through their startup sequences. The experimental faster-than-light drive began its complex preparation process. Ryan walked through the ship, checking on his crew. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Tony Williams monitored the power cores that could light up a small city. In the medical bay, Dr. Helen Park prepared for casualties. In the fighter bay, Squadron Leader Mark Taylor made sure their small attack craft were ready for battle. Everyone knew the odds. The Zephyrian Empire had been fighting wars when humanity was still learning to make fire. Their technology was advanced beyond human understanding. Their warriors were trained from birth to kill without question. They had never been defeated in open battle. But humans had something the aliens didn't understand. When pushed to the edge, when faced with extinction, humans fought harder than any other species in the galaxy. They adapted. They improvised. They refused to give up even when death was certain. Captain, Amy called from her station, I'm receiving a distress signal from the Kepler system. A colony ship called the New Horizon is under attack. Ryan felt his blood turn cold. How far? 3 days at maximum speed using the experimental drive. That's cutting it close, Sam said. The drive systems haven't been fully tested yet. Ryan looked at the faces of his bridge crew, young men and women who had signed up to defend humanity. They were scared, but they were ready. Set course for the Kepler system, he ordered. Maximum speed. Sir? Amy said quietly. What if we're too late? Ryan stared at the main screen as stars began to streak past. Then we make sure the aliens pay for every human life they've taken. The UDS Retribution tore through space toward its first battle, carrying humanity's hopes and fury in equal measure. High Admiral Zekthara stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crystal Blade. Through the clear walls of his command center, he could see the human colony ship floating helpless in space. Smoke poured from holes in its hull. Its shields flickered, like a dying candle. All ships prepare for final assault, he commanded through the fleet communication system. His 4 arms moved gracefully as he spoke, each gesture meaning something to his crew. Today we cleanse another human infection from our galaxy. 47 Zephyrian warships moved into perfect attack formation. Each ship was a work of art, carved from living crystal that had been grown in the deep forges of their homeworld. The hulls caught starlight and threw it back in beautiful patterns, but beneath that beauty lay enough firepower to crack a planet. Captain Velkara, his second in command, approached with measured steps. Her blue skin glowed with excitement. Admiral, our weapons are charged and ready. The human ship cannot survive. Another concentrated attack. Zekthara nodded. Good. But we will not rush. Let them feel fear a little longer. Let them understand what happens to those who dare to spread across our territory. On the New Horizon, Jake Morrison watched the alien ships closing in. His bridge crew worked desperately to keep their ship alive, but everyone knew it was over. The life support systems were failing. The hull was cracking in 3 places. They had minutes left, maybe less. Captain, Pete Johnson said, his voice barely a whisper. I'm still sending the distress signal, but there's no one out there to hear us. Jake wanted to say something hopeful, something to give his people courage in their final moments, but the words wouldn't come. How do you comfort 50,000 people when death is reaching for them with crystal claws? The Zephyrian fleet began to glow as they charged their weapons. Beautiful streams of energy flowed along the crystal hulls like liquid light. In a few, Seconds, those same streams would become death rays that would tear the New Horizon apart. All stations prepare for final bombardment, Zekthara announced to his fleet. Fire on my command. The alien admiral raised one of his four hands, ready to give the order that would end 50,000 human lives. His warriors waited with perfect discipline, their weapons trained on the helpless colony ship. Then space itself began to tear open. At first, it was just a small crack in the darkness, like someone had drawn a line across the stars with a knife made of blue fire. The crack grew larger, spreading in both directions until it was big enough to swallow a moon. Energy poured out of the tear, bright enough to hurt the eyes. "What is that?" Captain Velkara demanded, her voice filled with confusion and fear. Zekthara stared at the impossible sight. In all his centuries of warfare, he had never seen anything like it. The tear in space pulsed with power that made his ship's sensors scream warnings. Something was coming through. The nose of a ship pushed through the tear first, dark metal that seemed to drink in the starlight. Then came more of the hull, revealing a vessel so massive that it dwarfed even the largest Zephyrian battleship. The ship was over a kilometer long, covered in weapon ports and armor plating that looked thick enough to stop a meteor. The UDS Retribution emerged from the space tear like an ancient dragon rising from the depths of hell. Its hull was painted, the color of midnight, and red lights pulsed along its length like a heartbeat. When the massive ship was fully through, the tear in space snapped shut behind it, with a sound like thunder. On the bridge of the New Horizon, Jake Morrison stared at the impossible sight. What is that?" Lisa Adams checked her sensors, but the readings made no sense. "Captain, it's a human ship, but it's bigger than anything Earth has ever built. The power readings are off the charts." Pete Johnson's communication board came alive with signals. "Sir, we're receiving a message from the unknown vessel." "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The image that appeared showed a man in a crisp military uniform. His face was hard, but his eyes were kind. Behind him, Jake could see a bridge that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Advanced technology everywhere, with crew members working at stations that glowed with soft blue light. "This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the United Defense Ship Retribution," the man said. His voice was calm but carried the promise of violence. "New Horizon, you are under the protection of Earth's military forces." Jake felt tears in his eyes. "Captain Mitchell, this is Jake Morrison. We have 50,000 civilians aboard. The aliens have been attacking us for 3 days." Ryan's expression didn't change. "Copy that, New Horizon. All civilians stay calm and keep your heads down. We'll handle this." The communication shifted to a broader frequency that reached every ship in the system. When Ryan spoke again, his voice carried across space to both human and alien ears. "Attention, Zephyrian fleet. This is humanity's answer to your aggression. You have attacked innocent civilians. You have threatened our people. You have made a very large mistake." On the crystal blade, Zekthara felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. The human battleship was impossibly large. Its weapons were beyond anything his sensors could properly measure, and it had appeared using technology that shouldn't exist. "Admiral," Captain Velkara said, her voice shaking, "what are your orders?" Zekthara stared at the human warship. Every instinct told him to run. But he was the High Admiral of the Zephyrian Empire. He had never retreated from battle. He commanded 47 ships against one human vessel. The odds were still in his favor. "All ships target the human battleship," he ordered. "Maximum firepower. Show them why the galaxy fears the Zephyrian Empire." But even as he gave the order, Zekthara felt doubt creeping into his mind. The human ship hung in space like a sleeping giant, its weapons dark but ready. Red warning lights pulsed along its hull, and he could sense the power contained within that dark metal skin. On the Retribution, Captain Mitchell turned to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Foster, you may fire when ready." Amy Foster smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "With pleasure, Captain." The battlefield fell silent as two civilizations prepared to discover which was stronger. Captain Ryan Mitchell did not wait for the aliens to attack first. The moment Lieutenant Amy Foster confirmed weapon lock, He gave the order that would shake the galaxy. Fire all weapons. The UDS Retribution unleashed hell. The ship's railguns spoke first. Massive metal slugs accelerated to nearly the speed of light, tore through space like invisible hammers of God. The first Zephyrian ship to be hit simply vanished. One moment it was there, beautiful crystal hull gleaming in the starlight. The next moment, there was nothing but expanding gas and debris. Direct hit on Target 7, Amy reported, her fingers dancing across her control panel. Target destroyed. But the railguns were just the beginning. The plasma cannons came alive next, sending streams of fire hot enough to melt steel in seconds. The bright orange beams reached across space and touched 3 more alien ships. The crystal hulls that had seemed so strong melted like ice in a furnace. High Admiral Zekathara watched in horror as his perfect formation fell apart. All ships evasive maneuvers. Return fire immediately. The Zephyrian fleet scattered like frightened fish, their crystal ships moving in desperate patterns to avoid the human weapons. Some tried to run, others turned to fight. All of them were afraid. They're faster than I expected, Amy said as she tracked the moving targets. But not fast enough. The Retribution's quantum torpedoes launched next. These weapons were humanity's greatest secret, devices that could bend space itself into a weapon. When the torpedoes reached their targets, reality seemed to twist and fold. 3 Zephyrian ships were crushed like tin cans as gravity wells formed around them. The beautiful crystal hulls cracked and shattered under forces that could break planets. What kind of weapons are those? Captain Velkara screamed on the Zephyrian command frequency. This is impossible. Zekathara had no answer. In all his centuries of warfare, he had never seen anything like this. The human ship moved through space like a dancer. Avoiding the few energy beams his scattered fleet managed to fire. Every shot from the Retribution found its target. Every target died. On the bridge of the New Horizon, Jake Morrison watched the battle with amazement. The human battleship was outnumbered 47-1, but it fought like it had already won. Its weapons never stopped firing. Its shields deflected the alien attacks like they were nothing more than flashlight beams. How is this possible? Lisa Adams whispered. When did Earth build something like that? Jake shook his head. I don't know, but I'm glad they did. The Retribution continued its deadly work. Chief Weapons Officer Sam Carter coordinated the attack. From his station, his scarred hands steady on the controls. Target 12 destroyed. Target 15 destroyed. Target 23 breaking apart. The aliens are trying to regroup, Amy reported. 15 ships forming up behind that asteroid. Field? Not for long, Sam growled. He targeted the largest asteroid in the field and fired a quantum torpedo. The space rock exploded in a flash of light, sending deadly fragments in all directions. The Zephyrian ships hiding behind it were caught in the blast and torn apart. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood calmly at the center of his bridge, watching his crew work with deadly precision. This was what they had trained for. This was why Earth had built the Retribution in secret, to show the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the dark. Admiral, Captain Velkara called to Zekathara, we've lost over half the fleet. We need to retreat. Zekathara's forearms shook with rage and fear. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We do not retreat from inferior species. But even as he spoke, another group of his ships died under the human weapons. The crystal hulls that had taken his people centuries to grow were being destroyed in seconds. Warriors who had trained their entire lives for battle were dying without being able to strike back. The Retribution moved closer to the remaining Zephyrian ships. Its dark hull was unmarked by the alien weapons. Its shields hadn't even flickered under the enemy fire. It was like watching a shark swim through a school of fish. Multiple targets locked, Amy announced. Ready to fire again. Wait, Ryan said. He opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Mitchell. You have attacked human civilians. You have threatened innocent families. Your fleet is broken. Surrender now or be destroyed. Zekathara appeared on the main screen, his blue face twisted with hatred. Never. The Zephyrian Empire bows to no one, especially not to human animals. Then you die proud, Ryan said simply. Lieutenant Foster, finish them. The final barrage was swift and merciless. The remaining Zephyrian ships tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The Retribution's weapons found them all. Some ships exploded in brilliant balls of fire. Others simply broke apart under the crushing force of quantum torpedoes. A few managed to fire back, but their energy beams bounced off the human ship's shields like rain off a roof. In less than 30 minutes, the mighty Zephyrian armada was reduced to floating debris and a handful of damaged ships fleeing toward the edge of the system. High Admiral Zekthara's flagship, the Crystal Blade, was one of the few survivors. But it was badly damaged. Its crystal hull cracked in a dozen places. Emergency lights flashed throughout the ship as his crew struggled to keep it flying. "Admiral," Captain Velkara said, her voice barely a whisper, "what do we do now?" Zekthara stared at the human battleship through his damaged view screen. The Retribution hung in space like a dark angel of death, its weapons still glowing with deadly energy. Around it floated the wreckage of ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. "We run," he said finally. "We run and we tell our people what we have seen here. The humans are not the weak species we thought they were." As the surviving Zephyrian ships limped away into deep space, the UDS Retribution turned toward the new horizon. The colony ship was damaged but alive. 50,000 human lives had been saved by the arrival of Earth's greatest weapon. On both ships, human voices cheered. They had faced extinction and won. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would fight for its place among the stars. The age of human expansion had begun with thunder and lightning. The detention cell aboard the UDS Retribution was simple and clean. High Admiral Zekthara sat on the metal bench, his forearms bound with energy restraints that glowed softly in the dim light. His once proud uniform was torn and dirty. His blue skin had lost its inner glow. The door opened with a quiet hiss. Captain Ryan Mitchell stepped inside, followed by 2 human guards. The alien looked up at his captor with eyes that held a mixture of fear and something that might have been respect. "Your ship was too damaged to escape," Ryan said, his voice calm and measured. "My boarding party found you unconscious in the wreckage of your bridge." Zekthara said nothing at first. He stared at the human captain, trying to understand what he was seeing. This man looked ordinary. No special armor, no glowing weapons, no signs of the terrible power his ship had displayed. Just a human in a simple uniform. "What are you?" the alien finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. Ryan pulled up a chair and sat down across from his prisoner. "We are the species that refused to give up when you told us to surrender. We are the ones who built weapons you thought were impossible. We are the people who turned fear into strength. Your technology—" Zekthara began, then stopped. "How did your kind advance so quickly? When we first found your world, you were barely capable of leaving your own system." "Because we had to," Ryan replied. "You gave us no choice. When we learned that aliens like you wanted to destroy us, we did what humans always do. We adapted. We built better tools. We became stronger." The alien's 4 eyes widened. "You built that battleship in response to us?" "We built it in response to the idea of you," Ryan corrected. "The idea that someone out there wanted to hurt innocent people just because they were different. The idea that bullies could destroy entire civilizations and call it justice." Zekthara leaned back against the wall. "The Zephyrian Empire has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have destroyed dozens of aggressive species. We brought peace to countless worlds." "By killing everyone who disagreed with you," Ryan said. "That's not peace, that's just fear wearing a crown." The door opened again. Lieutenant Amy Foster stepped inside and whispered something in Ryan's ear. The captain nodded and stood up. "Admiral, you're about to witness something your empire has never seen before," Ryan said. "You're about to see what happens when humans offer friendship instead of death." They moved to an observation deck where Zekthara could see outside the ship. Through the large windows, he watched human shuttles moving between the Retribution and the new horizon. Medical teams were helping injured colonists. Engineering crews were repairing damage to the colony ship. Children pressed their faces against the windows of the shuttles, waving at the massive battleship that had saved their lives. 50,000 people, Ryan said quietly. Families looking for a new home. Teachers, doctors, farmers, artists. People who just wanted to build something good on a distant world. They are still a threat, Zekathara said, but his voice lacked conviction. Humans spread like a disease. They consume everything they touch. Look at them, Ryan replied, pointing to the shuttles full of children. Look at their faces. Do they look like conquerors to you? The alien watched in silence as the rescue operation continued. Human crews worked with careful precision, making sure every person was safe. Medical teams treated both serious injuries and minor cuts with the same level of care. No one was left behind. This is not what we expected, Zekathara admitted. Because you never tried to understand us, Ryan said. You saw only what you wanted to see. A species to be feared and destroyed. A communication alert sounded throughout the ship. Amy Foster's voice came over the speakers. Captain Mitchell to the bridge. Priority message from Earth Command. They returned to the bridge where Admiral Kate Brown appeared on the main screen. Her face was serious but showed signs of relief. Captain Mitchell, congratulations on your victory. The entire Zephyrian fleet in the outer systems is retreating. They're sending diplomatic messages to Earth asking for peace talks. Ryan smiled, slightly. They want to negotiate now? It seems your demonstration was quite convincing, the Admiral replied. But that's not the only news. We're receiving messages from other alien civilizations as well. Species we've never heard of before. They all want to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. Because they're afraid of us now, Amy said from her station. Maybe, Admiral Brown agreed. But fear can be the beginning of respect. And respect can lead to friendship. The communication ended. Ryan turned to face Zekathara, who had been listening to everything. So what happens now? The alien asked. Now we give you a choice, Ryan replied. The same choice you gave us, but with a different outcome. You can go back to your people and tell them what you've seen here. Tell them that humans are not the monsters you thought we were. Help us build peace instead of war. And if I refuse? Ryan's expression hardened. Then you stay here while we visit every Zephyrian world and have the same conversation with your leaders. But I think you're smarter than that. Zekathara was quiet for a long moment. Through the bridge windows he could see the new horizon beginning to move again. The colony ship's engines glowed with renewed life as it prepared to continue its journey to a new world. Your species confuses me, the alien said finally. You have the power to destroy us completely, but instead, you offer mercy. Because that's who we are, Ryan replied. We fight when we have to. We show mercy when we can. We build instead of destroying whenever possible. The alien stood up slowly. His energy restraints had been removed. I will return to my people. I will tell them what I have learned here, but I cannot promise they will listen. Then we'll be ready if they don't, Ryan said simply. But we hope they will. 6 months later, the first Zephyrian diplomatic ship arrived at Earth. Other alien species followed. The galaxy was changing and humanity was at the center of that change. The new horizon reached its destination and established a thriving colony. The children who had cowered in fear during the battle grew up knowing that someone would always come to help when they needed it. And somewhere in deep space, the UDS Retribution continued its patrol, carrying a simple message to anyone who would listen. Humanity was here to stay, and the galaxy would never be the same. The age of human expansion had begun not with conquest, but with the promise that the strong would protect the weak, and that peace was always better than war. But for those who chose war anyway, humanity was ready with thunder and lightning.